We're so close to WWDC. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen. New Apple event. It's happening. Good morning will probably not be said. I'm excited. Woo-hoo. I hope you guys are too. Are you ready?
I need a towel.
Software.
Good morning, Cupertino.
Hopefully hardware.
Yes.
We're going to say it on this show because you're not going to hear it.
No, unfortunately, Tim's not going to say it.
Oh, good morning. Good morning, Cupertino.
So thrilled to have you join us here at Apple Park.
So, if you're outside of Cupertino, you're not welcome.
Good morning,
have
world.
A bad morning.
Good morning, world.
Hello, world.
Hello, world.
Nick, what are you most excited for? Of all the potential things.
I am so excited for Craig. I put a little Twitter poll out a couple weeks ago of ranking.
This is
everyone's
Craig's event.
I know. Everyone was like, okay, do you want software? Do you want hardware? Do you want services? No. I want Craig memes. I need more Craigware. Craigware 11.1 or whatever. Like, it needs to be a software. Just rename iOS to Craigware. Craigware OS.
Guys,
yes.
It feels like a movie's gonna come out.
I have a confession. I realize this about myself.
Right.
I mean, obviously it's been alluded enough times, but I realize I am Craig sexual.
You're not
Were you
the
sitting
only
on that one for a while?
Nope,
you're not,
it just hit me right now.
You just hit, okay.
You're not the only one.
That's good. I was like, that's so good, it must have been planned.
Nope. It just hit me. I'm so excited to see Craig.
Unlike Air Power.
I get more excited to see Craig than I was to see my wife after 5 months. I am a...
When you die, you see Craig. He just comes out of the clouds. How cool is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think of that picture of him going.
Or the duck face.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Can we not have Tim at this event at all? And it's just Craig at the intro.
If Craig does not
should do a whole event. Instead of like one more thing or high speed, it's just Craig. He's the picture of the invite image.
I have gone out of my way on YouTube to just find dedicated long form interviews that him and Phil Schiller did back, just so I can watch his mannerisms. He's such an interesting guy. Just to see him. Well, yeah. So we take a look. Like he is the and. Drew, I know you'll get this, and Nick, I'm pretty sure you understand. He is the embodiment of California. He's just Californian. That's my spirit state animal person. I'm Craig sexual. I said it. All right.
Nick is technically Californian.
He is. That's why I said he might get this. He might get it enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can't change that.
You can't change
no matter
that.
where he lives.
Yeah. Some days I wonder why I can't, but you know.
You can't. It's not a choice, Nick. You don't get to choose. You are what you are.
You don't choose California. California chooses you.
California chooses you.
That's right.
Anyway, so
and you don't choose Craig.
Craig chooses
you.
How cool is that?
How cool is that?
I think how cool is that? And I want Craig to talk more than anything because iPadOS is my top listed.
Absolutely.
Like, this needs more attention, and I want Craig to go all over iPadOS.
So we took the widgets that you love from your iPhone and moved them right onto the iPad with iPadOS 15. Now to talk about the watch, we're going to give it over to what's his face?
And with
Kevin.
With 5G, now you could put your widgets on the right side of the iPad.
You can have a perpetual 5G speed test widget that's constantly measuring your bandwidth.
Yes, I want this.
And
it drains your battery life like crazy, but it's just it's like a big one. It covers up half the screen, and it's just the speed test app going, here's how much data you're using.
Do you think
unlimited data tiers hate this?
So Drew's probably most excited about iPadOS. What is Randy most excited about?
No.
Randy is most excited about, and I was actually going to preface who's going to be the one to talk about it. Randy's most excited about the MacBook Pro.
Ooh, boy!
Same.
Mm-hmm. I would have to agree with this.
For sure.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll get more precise. M1X.
M1X.
I'll even get more precise. MagSafe.
I'll even more precise. Where is Gamora?
Why is Mogera? I said Mogera.
Oh. You guys got that wrong in 4 dimensions.
Exactly.
Why is Gamora?
I don't care what M1X is in. I'm most interested in M1X.
Okay.
And if it's MacBook Pros, then yeah, I'm most interested in MacBook Pros.
I'm most interested in a MacBook Pro, a genuine Pro, not entry-level Pro, a Pro. The thing that we've been sitting on for so long. I feel like the on-running joke with me and being on the podcast is that like I just been wanting to upgrade to a MacBook Pro for so long, and the deterrent for me is not the design. If it's different or the same, I don't care. The deterrent for me would be storage configuration. White bezels. I will definitely buy it just to spite you.
Ooh, of course.
Yeah, no.
I'm glad you're on that side of the country.
Ooh.
Don't worry.
Keep that crap away from me.
I still very much have my residency still in California. Daddy's coming back. Don't you worry. So I care about the ports, and I care. I/O is very important. I find myself the dongle that I use now. I wish I actually had 2 more USB-Cs, and I was like, oh, well, I know where I can get 2 more USB-Cs, an upgraded MacBook Pro.
What if it's 3?
It would be a weird number, but if the trade-off is I get an SD card reader, I would happily do that deal.
So 3 is okay.
I would do that deal for SD card. Otherwise, 3 by itself would be just weird.
It needs to be balanced.
It sounds possible.
I like my ports equally balanced, as all things should be.
Symmetry.
Just balanced.
Perfectly
maybe we should snap half the ports out of existence and go down to 1 port. Be even more minimal. But
how dare you?
Less balanced. No, I definitely
just the
want
iMac connector.
4.
That's it.
To carry around the power brick to plug anything in. I definitely want 4. I'm also most excited about the new MacBook Pro. I want 4 USB-C ports. I care less about dumb HDMI. I don't know why anyone is like, oh yeah, HDMI is super useful. You get an adapter for that. You're sorry, I don't understand that at all. SD card slightly more. Whatever, like I guess I have plenty of SD card adapters, so I'm not in a need for one. But nice if they want to stick one on there. But also M1X, like I cannot wait to see how fast this thing is. Please.
Me too. I want there to be Apple Silicon that objectively outperforms my current Mac, and I'm not in the market for a MacBook, but I'm still very, very interested in how fast an M1X would be, how quick those export times would be.
You might be in the market. You don't know yet. They might do something that'd be like, they'll say this outperforms any iMac with Intel, all of them. Besides Mac Pro, you might be like, you know what? Shut up and take my money.
I think it will. If it does come out, I think M1X will outperform every Mac except the Mac Pro in certain. The Mac Pro might just have that one up, the 28-core option or whatever. But the M1X, I expect to beat everything except that. I don't. M1 almost beat everything.
I expect M1X to beat Mac Pro.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yes.
Mac Pro.
That'll be quite a leap.
I would say. So to go off
CPU or graphics as well.
Everything, and because to go off of what we talked about last week about the iteration of M1X and M2 and all that, M1X, or like what you just said, Drew, and what I agreed, that M1 basically outdid everything without really even trying as the first entry.
That's the worst one.
That's the worst one. It will never get worse than that. And imagine if that is the first iteration and how well it did. I think we're thinking too old school about major upgrades of doing the same thing. If M1X it does the same type of improvement the way M1 just did over Intel, that would more than suffice for anything. And then M2, we're thinking so in the box that what if M2 just like cured cancer? It's so powerful. Who knows? You know what I'm saying?
That's very possible.
Yeah, so
it'll cure
I feel
the cancer that the 5G caused. It'll be perfect.
Perfect. It fixed the problem that it started. I think M1X.
It's the problem and the solution.
And M1X has the potential to be the outliner because I keep racking my head about this year's leading up to the end of the year about all the hardware that comes out outside of iPhone. Mm-hmm. We still got the bigger iMac expected to come out, and then you have what? You have the Mac Pro. I don't see a genuine need to wait longer just because people bought the Intel version last year, 2 years. I don't think that's a valid argument anymore when Apple has been more than known and notorious about killing off or dating themselves very quickly over other products in the past. I feel that if M1X came out now with the Pro versions of things going forward, the Mac Pro should be in that lineup. If it's not going to outperform the Intel-based Mac Pro, I think it's by choice of just not letting people feel like they got screwed over. However, people who spend that type of money on a Mac Pro, in my opinion, genuinely or generally, businesses and stuff like that, tax write-offs, I don't think a personal computer, a person like someone like us would go and buy that and like, hey, I'm gonna.
That's not a personal computer.
So if something new comes out, then there you go. It's another business purchase type of thing. I just don't see that being the bottleneck. I don't think Apple cares enough because it's not the majority of the sales anyway. So don't hold back and release the M1X. How I feel would be the star of 2021. Put that in the higher end models of the MacBooks, iMac, and Mac Pro. It's going to outperform everything. So that's why I feel like M1X will do just as good, if not better, than the Intel Mac Pro.
But every time I think about the M1X, I have to realize like the M1 chip is still amazing. Like, as excited as I am to be able to bump my render times by another 30 or 40% and, bump my imports and exports, like, this is already like beyond anything I've ever had. Like, this is the M1 chip in the Cube and the iMac. It's just like so fast that I just lose perspective, I guess, very quickly of like how fast this thing actually is. And as excited as I am about the M1X, I also need to remember like the M1 chip is really good. And I know Apple's going to do a really good job selling me on the M1X chip, but like the M1 chip screams like
yeah,
as Craig would say.
I think so is your bigger issue about the hardware they put the M1 in? It's not a performance problem. It's you want that unicorn 16-inch MacBook Pro with mini LED, and you want more ports. You want something that
I just needed something portable at the end of the day. So I'm, pivoting to more space content, which might involve, some trips and stuff to be a little bit more flexible in my workflow. And I've said for months that I'm sick of being stuck in my office editing and feeling like I only have desktop, so I have to be in here when I'm working. I just feel claustrophobic and all that. So like, there's part of me that's like, I'll take any laptop at all and just get me by. Just let's do this. But the other part of me is like, well, I want a computer that's going to last me a long time, because I'm honestly very sick of going through computers. Just like I was very sick of going through iPhones last year. Like, I think between August and November of last year, I went through like 10 iPhones or 12 iPhones or something like that. I'm getting to that point with Macs where like it's just I just want a Mac to just have and keep for a long time and use that for years and really enjoy it. And so yeah, I also would like the unicorn design. I think that's going to be great. But at the end of the day, it's not about the design for me. It's about the chip and probably battery life too. So we'll see.
So why not just get a normal M1 MacBook then?
I may have.
Hey, yeah. It's from NASA.
It is not from NASA. It's a sticker. It's just a M1.
It's just as Nick was saying, I'm tired of switching computers.
Yeah, no, I'm setting this one up as we speak, which is why I'm getting tired of setting this up, because I just set up the iMac like 2 weeks ago, And
oh, geez.
Anyway,
why, Nick? Why?
So there's a very real possibility that this Mac does not come out until the fall. I'm still thinking it's the Unicorn MacBook Pro is not gonna, the one that I want, Unicorn MacBook Pro. I personally still don't. I'm not getting excited. I'm excited here, but like I don't want to get too excited because I really think it makes sense for them to come out in the fall. And I hope I'm wrong. But I want to hedge my excitement. And because of that, even if we're optimistic and they say, hey, here they are, even if they announce them on Monday, I don't think that they're going to ship until like middle to end of July, just with chip shortages and all that fun
I would
stuff.
prefer that.
So like that's a solid month and a half at the
I'm going to be
minimum.
gone later this month, so I want them to take longer.
Okay.
That's
take
why.
Your time.
But yeah, go ahead.
I'm glad they were checking with your schedule and they figured out when their supply chain
they
could
did.
supply
Tim
all the
texted
pieces.
me.
He said, I got to do something about these leaks, man.
Yeah, so it's like there's a minimum like 6 weeks here, and likely I'm still thinking into the fall, maybe October, November timeframe, where I'm willing to wait for that. But in the interim, if Starship gets anything, any big tests or anything, I want to be down there. And I'm sorry, but I can't justify taking an iMac with me or taking my precious Cube. That's way too precious to even move.
Don't take the iMac.
And so it's like, well, I need something portable, and I don't want to degrade my workflow at the moment. Like, yes, I could do it all with my iPhone if I wanted to. It is possible with LumaFusion, but that's a whole lot of work, and I'd rather not degrade my pretty fast cadence workflow. And so, anyway, I found on the refurbished store this beautiful terabyte, 16 gigs of RAM M1 MacBook Pro for just under $1,600, which, by the way, is I bought it from Apple for less than what people are selling them used on Swappa and eBay for. So I'm fairly confident that even if there is a new Mac in 6 weeks, I'm not going to be taking a huge depreciation loss on this. And so it makes
Can you return it?
I could return it in 14 days, but again,
Okay.
I'd want to have this computer while I have the 16-inch in my hands. So I'm going to hold on to this guy for a while. But we'll see.
I just mean if
He's
in
not
the
used to
event
having
they
16
announce
inches in his hand.
13 is
if
plenty,
they
Randy.
announce at the event, you can buy it today and they ship next week.
Yeah, then
would you return?
Then
it?
I'd return this, of course. Yes.
Okay.
I'm not.
Is there any deal breakers, Randy, for these new MacBook Pros? Is there something they could do with them that would make you not upgrade?
Storage configuration at this point, if it's the lower end, not lower end, but if they still
What's your bottom? What's your minimum?
Honestly, I would max out the 4 terabyte. So I feel 4 terabyte is the minimum. I know it's the most expensive part of it, but that's what I've allotted for so long. If I had to, like, you're putting me in a, if for this, I would say 2, I guess. But I just look at all the external SSDs that I have right now. And
I'm doing that too.
Yeah, and it's like, for me, I am about simplifying and consolidating in that sense, and I would have something as a backup, but that would store like most important things. But I've tried to change my workflow where I utilize the cloud more. I move, my documents stuff is in the cloud and the desktop's in the cloud, but it eats up my iCloud storage so quickly that, and I don't expect them to increase the iCloud one anytime soon. I just don't. Yeah.
Only 5 gigs.
I don't feel like that's happening.
I think they announced it was 5 gigs when Steve was alive.
Steve was on stage when they announced 5 gigs for free.
Yeah, iOS 4.
And it has not changed.
iOS 4.
But they're keeping Steve's legacy, Drew. They're not being cheap.
Yeah, so
that's all part of Steve's legacy.
Part of that with the iPod. So, but part of the I can't do certain things even if I change my workflow enough to have backups, or at least the data part saved on things, and I move the software somewhere else. It's too messy. I don't want to deal with it. So I would prefer to have a 4 terabyte configuration. I will take a 2 terabyte config, but the deal breaker for me would be more of a is it not that much different than the MacBook Air that I'm using now? Besides ports, if it really isn't, if it's just if I hyped up M1X or whatever, and it's not that much more different besides substantial, whatever that means, like, hey, this one does better than that, but it really, like, battery life is still going to be about the same and things like that, then just to save redundancy, I will hold on to the MacBook Air longer. But I would really like to have the storage configuration upgraded more than anything else. And then the second thing is I would like to have certain legacy ports come back, but that's not really a deal breaker either. I would prefer it. The terabyte situation is the most important because you can't see it's off frame, but I pulled out 5 external hard drives that I have total.
Oh, wow.
And I'm getting really tired of buying more. Yeah, I have stuff that date back a decade now of work that I had when I was still working on a Windows. So there's just stuff that's there. I know.
Off the show! Get him off the show, Drew! He is unworthy!
Okay, I'm back. But it's okay.
He got caught.
I got caught. But the thing is, like, I look at that stuff and I can consolidate most of that onto a 4 terabyte, clean it up easier, and it has to be portable. I can take it with me. Just reducing the clutter is my biggest focus more than anything. Yeah.
Okay. And I would also say, I don't think I mentioned this, I want the touch bar to stay. So the current Mac that I have, it has a touch bar.
Goodness.
I'm glad you got that.
And if the new one doesn't, like some of the rumors are saying, it's going to be
It sounds like they won't. Yeah.
It's going to be a big decision. Like, it might be a nice design. The M1 chip might be really nice, but like, I'm going to be really conflicted over this touch bar disappearing because I love the touch bar. I think
that might be the only M1 Mac that has a touch bar.
Oh my.
I'm gonna be okay, I promise, guys.
I can't miss what I never had.
Tiny F key on the tiniest keyboard.
On the tiny little screen, the OLED screen.
Is it really? Would that really be a deal breaker for you, Nick?
It wouldn't be a deal breaker, I don't think, because I know the M1X chip is really gonna be beautiful. But if the M1X chip isn't as cool as we're thinking, and if the HDMI port is there and / the design isn't as cool as we're thinking, I would honestly probably just stick with this.
The HDMI port is a deal breaker.
It probably would be. I hate that thing. It's like huge and gargantuan. I don't want that hole in my computer. I don't want to lug that around with me all the time. I already have an adapter for that. Like, this adapter already has that. Just make my laptop smaller, please. Anyway.
You just don't have to use the adapter.
I guess. I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker, but I would probably cry a little and grieve and complain a little bit, but the touch bar is here for now, so I'm happy. And
you're not happy about the idea of possibly having the SD card reader.
Dude, I have like so many SD card readers. Like,
I know, but still,
we're good.
Now you don't need one.
I don't care that I need one. I already carry around like a charger and a couple adapters. So to me, this going into the computer does not seem much more convenient than this going into the computer. It
opens up a port.
It's one less step.
It is one less step, but like, I don't know. It would be nice if it was there, but I'm not going to complain about it not being there like all the people have.
Like,
in a long
this
time.
is probably, if they bring back certain legacy ports, do you feel like this is probably Apple saying, okay, USB-C isn't what it was? Like, it's like taking a step backwards. You know what I mean?
It kind of is.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Are you okay with that?
It's admitting the transition. Yeah. I mean, they do it all the time. They did it with the Escape key. They did it with 3D Touch. They did it with a good example I was thinking of recently was the side button on the Apple Watch. That used to be a contacts launcher. Yeah. And then in watchOS 2, they just completely gave up on that. And they were like, you know what? Multitasking. That's what that does. So Apple sometimes thinks they have something good, releases it, and then goes, people don't seem to like this. We're going to go back. Sort of like the Siri remote. You know, they went too far in the minimal direction, and they had something in a closed box environment that they thought was going to be the future and the thought would be really cool, and then in execution it ended up not being very cool, and they learned from that. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's okay to learn from going too far and kind of change your direction based on what people want. Apple's kind of known for not doing that a lot of the time, so when they do, I kind of appreciate it. But I would not. I've never been one to complain about a lack of an SD card reader as long as it's being replaced with more Thunderbolt ports, which is not what was going on. Sorry for the starling. that wasn't what was going on with the 24-inch iMac, but yeah, as long as there's an SD card solution, which Thunderbolt has a fine one. I use an adapter too, but
yeah, I feel like
they bring it back. That's fine. It saves a step, saves an adapter.
Certain ports.
Just imagining what they're saying about me now.
You can't. Oh, he can't hear me. I can hear him.
We can hear him though, so you can go ahead and keep talking though, Randy. Just keep talking.
Okay.
Fill dead air.
Okay.
Filling dead air. Starlink.
Yeah.
Starlink.
Come on.
Okay, I'm gonna talk. So my idea of having old ports that come back is right now I'm looking at my hub, and I see HDMI in use. I see USB-A in use. A lot of USB-A stuff has been ported over, and a part of me feels like, for example,
that sounds like a you problem, Randy.
Nick, how are you using the video capture card, my friend?
I have a USB-C adapter, and it's being plugged into the back of the Cube's dock via USB-C right now.
Well,
double dongles.
Unfortunately,
Look out.
Double dongles. Well, I unfortunately don't have that, and my HDMI capture card is USB-A, and maybe there's a USB-C variant out there. I don't know, but stuff that I feel like there's no USB translation for me in my workflow. HDMI SD card reader. I'm okay if we only stuck with USB Type-C still. I just want more ports of it because I want to hook.
Right.
I want to hook up my piano. I want to hook up my monitor. I want to hook up my preamp. I want to hook up. What do I have that's going on right there? Oh, the power supply to that's feeding the Mac in the first place. So that's 4 right there. I want to, and that's now I want to utilize SD card reader, possibly an external SSD to just work off of some things. And I also want to use the HDMI port if I don't have a Thunderbolt that's going on. So I just wouldn't mind if there's more ports overall. This is evidently what I just counted right now. My perfect size is 7 ports. I guess 8 if we have to include the headphone jack for bless you, would be my my speaker, my monitors. So 8 ports if we include the headphone jack would be the perfect thing. But I've been able to improvise and work around that. But that's I'm okay with just using USB-C. It's cool if they don't, but I do have workarounds for it. I realize my limitation is the port thing. So actually, besides the storage configuration, I just realized that the other deal breaker for me is if it's only 2 ports. Then I really wouldn't upgrade because then I'm just using a different version of a MacBook Air that's a little bit better.
So if it's 2 Thunderbolt ports plus SD card, HDMI, and then the other rumor is that there's a return of some kind of proprietary MagSafe, so you'd be able to charge through that and still have 2 vacant Thunderbolt ports. Is that not enough?
I would 100% give you $3,500 or whatever you're going to charge me, and I would buy that.
It's a mess.
So that is enough.
That would be
that
enough.
I/O is fine.
That I/O would be fine because I know I'm not going to get rid of my hub. So if I need more open ports, what I was saying when you went in and out for a second, I realized that I still use USB Type A, and I
do too.
I need it, unfortunately, and I'd say unfortunately because I don't.
I hate it.
Same. Yeah. But it's kind of. I wouldn't be able to do the video capture card without it. I wouldn't be able to plug my piano in. There's things that I couldn't do that there just is no adapter for that just yet. So some things I just need USB Type A, unfortunately, but. So I have every intention of still utilizing the hub at least to mitigate some of the Type A situations. But what you just said right there, that I would be more than content because I don't expect that to happen. And if it does, then I'm grateful.
Yeah. I am in the same boat that Type C doesn't bother me, especially if they went all in. It's more about the quantity of them. Like if I just got 4 Thunderbolt ports on the back of a M1X Mac Mini and nothing else, I'd be like, cool, I'm done. Because none of those is going to be power, for one.
Yeah.
So all of those can go towards monitors and importing devices and a charger or whatever. And if you want to bring back those old ports, that's fine, because I see a lot of people these days, actually. My cousin, my buddy Ross, and my mom, they all have MacBook Pros from like 2010, 2011 that they're still using. My buddy Ross and my cousin Matt both put SSDs in them and made them a lot faster, so they're still like somewhat usable. And I think about how many people are still using, pre-2016 MacBooks.
My wife, she's using the last.
Yeah, your wife.
The 2015. That's
my wife has one too. Yeah. Like
my wife.
There's people like us who we've already front the cash on things like this. We've already bought these and we're going to take them with us anyway because they have, even stuff like micro SD, which MacBooks never had anyway. But for the people that haven't fronted the money for this, I do still see the viewpoint of it's kind of annoying and it's kind of cumbersome that when you're buying a new MacBook, you're like, wait, I can't plug this in, I can't plug this in, and you have to say, no, you got to buy this too. So if there's the reason I don't want them to bring back USB-A is because I think it's a poor designed port and there's a clear and obvious solution that's way better. And we just need more people to make those. And the more Apple does things like the 24-inch iMac or the MacBook Air and says, nope, Type-C only, the more third parties have to adopt to that. But I haven't seen Apple try very hard with the SD card slot. They kept it around on the iMacs for a very long time. They still have it on the 27-inch model. And there wasn't a very clear and obvious solution to the SD card that Apple was kind of directly endorsing, other than just use your iPhone and AirDrop. That's better. But a lot of us are not going to do that. And because that's the most common, I'm probably like many other creators out there, we use CFast cards. So we never really got our own built-in. I don't think Apple's ever going to do that. Right. And I'm not honestly in love with CFast cards as a standard. Like they work and they work in heavy-duty professional-grade cameras, but I wanted Apple to try harder to replace it with something good, like either some kind of proprietary wireless transfer method or see more cameras get into the Thunderbolt importing stuff. But even that is just a little clunky because a lot of us like to set up our cameras and then just take the card out and import that way. We don't want to have to move our whole camera to where our computer is and import that way. So because Apple couldn't find a very clear and obvious solution, and there's not any really sign in the past 5 years of cameras or anything moving off the SD standard, and because it's fairly thin, that of all legacy ports to bring back, I think makes the most sense. HDMI, I'm less confident about because I'm like, good. Thunderbolt's
way better. You can do power delivery
smaller,
over better video quality. Like HDMI, unless you're doing HDMI 2.1, coming right around. Thunderbolt's going to be better on the video side, but
the only thing I think of that HDMI is I think more common with is just like TVs haven't really switched to Thunderbolt. Monitors have, but TVs and projectors and stuff have mainly still stuck with HDMI.
So watch,
which I'm not happy with.
You get one $70 adapter. You take one USB-C port, you turn it into power in, so you're not losing the ability to charge the laptop from that port.
I know.
You get an
Nick, you don't have to sell me. I got one that does way more than that for less money.
You don't want it in your computer. Just carry it on the dongle and you're good. Sheesh.
If they didn't have to buy that, I think they would prefer that.
I don't know why.
People are in the business of saving money. That's what people care about, is if they don't want to.
I'm not in that demographic of HDMI users. That's why I don't care.
No, but the TV part you bring up is very valid and fair. Like, even you look at the new gen consoles that have been coming out, like they still use HDMI. Like, that is still very much a standard in everything except laptops or personal computers and stuff like that we're pushing USB-C for those types of things, and only more open-minded, innovative approaches will be more willing to adopt USB-C, like a Tesla for their charging, like when you want to charge your phone. But outside of that, you go to Home Depot, go to IKEA, go to one of these things where they give you wall outlets. You can swap them out, and they also have USB charging to plug them in directly, and they're USB Type A still. They're not USB-C. I keep looking for USB-C for wall outlets I could just swap out and you just plug in directly. It's not there yet. So A is still very much around.
Imagine that being baked into like your drywall.
That's
it's
the
just
thing.
No 110. It's just a Type C connector.
I've wanted that for a long time. That'd be so nice.
And it's all like 100 watt or whatever. You can just plug your MacBook directly into that.
Plug your vacuum cleaner. Yeah, plug your toothbrush into it. Like, it's the part of the future.
Yeah.
Plug your Tesla into it.
F-150 Lightning has to use the Lightning.
That's funny. But yeah, I think I think outside of just consumer products like iPhones, computers, or things like that, that HDMI is still very much prevalent. USB Type A is still very much prevalent, and that's just I don't understand why TVs and monitors are different prices for the same thing, that they're so much more expensive. I besides the remote, I get the remote part. I understand the remote part. Like, you gotta have to have that, but like, if we can make it work with monitors, we can make it work with TVs. I don't see that much of a difference in that sense, and yet it's like two different industries altogether, even though they're all made by LG or something. And it's kind of frustrating because it feels like after post 2015, when USB-C is like, here's our standard, everyone could have collectively been like, let's move towards that. Again, LG was making smartphones at the time, and they had USB-C. They understood the process and the concept of USB-C. We could have had a different future that nobody really wanted to, adopt with the accessories, it feels like. And that part I don't understand why. And so it's not that I'm holding out anymore. It's just the frustration of that, like some type of dongle will exist. We can't unify the way we unified the light bulb, So I would have liked to have seen that, but that just didn't happen.
We could have.
Yeah.
I hate HDMI less than USB-A because there's at least only one way to plug it in. Yeah. So it doesn't feel as stupid. It's not reversible, but it's also not symmetrical. You can look at it and be like, that's how it goes in. USB-A is like, what? Wait, which way? And it kind of annoys me when they bring HDMI back, in the sense that now that doesn't really help TVs feel like they need to switch over. But I guess Apple has tried for the past 4 or 5 years or whatever now, and now they're seeing like, well, we've tried to push everyone to Type-C, and no one seems to be budging. So if they're not budging now, they probably never will. I guess we should bring HDMI back.
They're budgeting it.
I think it'd be easier. Just have a Thunderbolt port or something on the back of a TV, and it's reversible now. You can plug it in either way.
Yeah.
I don't know. They keep the Mac Mini kept HDMI, I guess.
True. It sure does.
M1X Mac Mini would be my biggest interest from this whole event.
And personally, I would love an M1X Mac Mini from this event, because that means I get to make another Q video.
Q video.
Upload the same video.
The exact same video.
Just with some new B-roll. Yeah. I put an M1X in a cube. That's the way it's done. That'll be interesting. I don't think battery life will be substantially better, though.
On the MacBook Pro or on the 16-inch? Like, better? Because, 13-inch MacBook Pro, 20-hour battery life for most tasks. If you're actually pushing it, you get like 8 hours, which is so impressive, because you used to get like 2 when you're actually pushing it.
Right. Right.
The current MacBook Pro gets supposedly 8 when you're not pushing it, and 2 when you are pushing it. So are you saying that it'll be on par with what?
It'll be the same as the M1 battery life.
Cool. Yeah, I would agree with that.
That's my guess.
Yeah, about 20, maybe 24 hours.
It's going to be more power hungry than the M1 by the sound of the reports and stuff. Like the efficiency core, there's not as many efficiency cores, which I don't know why you need 4, but when you have more high performance cores, they're going to consume more energy. And even though the battery may be bigger in the 16-inch model, I still think it won't. I don't know. I saw some people floating around that it'll be like a 30-plus hour battery life, which sounds awesome, but I just have my doubts considering how much power the M1X will consume. It'll be like, and the still same great battery life of 20 hours.
I will go out on a limb here and say I think that they'll make 24 hours. I think they'll hit 24 hours. Because I think that's a really cool number to just say you can be using your computer for an entire day. Not just an entire work day, like 8 hours. Not just, what you're awake for, 16 hours. An entire day, 24 hours, you can be using this computer. I think that's going to make a really good selling point. And they had some, it looks like some leaks or something from some governmental filing over in Asia that had like some milliamp hours listed for some new products that were coming out soon. And people were like, "Ooh!" So it's slightly smaller than the current MacBook Pro. So it doesn't. I think the current MacBook Pro has like 99 point something watts or whatever. It was slightly smaller. Yes, it was slightly smaller, but by like less than 100 milliamp hours. So it wasn't that much smaller. So I would imagine with the M1 chip being able to squeeze 20 hours of battery life out of what was roughly the same battery as the older Intel ones. I think the M1X can probably, when it's using one of its 2 efficiency cores, it can probably squeeze out 24 hours out of that bigger battery.
That would be sweet.
Yeah.
I hope the... It'd be cool if we saw the bigger iMac at this event, but
no,
that's maybe too
Drew.
much.
Sorry, Drew. You just want to be disappointed a little bit more with your white bezels and chins, do you?
Yeah. I'm not done being disappointed. I want more.
He's a glutton for disappointment, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not done being upset.
I'm not done. I think you were talking about there being like a simplicity in Mac upgrades by, how iPhones come out at the same time each year. But how would that work with things like the iMac launching in May that also have the M1? Wouldn't that now feel weird if we get M2 in the fall, but then the iMac doesn't get
everything.
I just mean based on their current track record, they didn't launch all M1 products at the same time, which means there's probably reason to believe they won't launch all M1X products at the same time either.
Yeah, that's fair.
We could get MacBook Pros next week and then M1X iMac later in the year, and then I don't know. I kind of trust Bloomberg's report that the Mac Pro is getting something extra, and that idea is becoming more and more interesting to me.
What do you think?
I think they're right. I think the fact that it doesn't sound as made up, because what sounds made up to me is a 12-core, okay, now they have 8 high-performance cores in the same 4 efficiency cores. Bloomberg came forward and said, no, they dropped the 2 efficiency cores. It's little details like that where I'm like, see, that seems like something someone wouldn't have thought of. That sounds like something Apple figures out internally. We don't need the 4 high efficiencies, or it's cheaper or whatever to do it with a 10-core, but 8 being high performance, and then 16 or 32 GPU cores. And their report's also saying the Mac Pro will have up to 32 high performance cores and 128 graphics cores, which is like this monumental leap higher. And I was like, that sounds more like that specialized third tier, because I just have a hard time believing Apple is just going to abandon having 5-figure computers once the Apple Silicon transition takes place. I think they just want to have tremendous value. It's not all about just like, okay, now all of our Macs are below 10 grand. I think there's still going to be a high end, like they know they've got the MKBHDs of the world, and they've got the John Morrisons that are going to spend whatever they need to get the fastest possible Mac. And knowing that the M1 was made with the budget in mind of like, okay, keep this around $1,000, a little bit over $1,000 for those machines. And then M1X is going to be, okay, people are now comfortable spending $2,000 or $3,000 on these machines. But what kind of Apple Silicon could you develop if you had the budget of like $5,000 or $6,000 and how much performance you could squeeze out of that? But again, be way more power hungry. So you couldn't just throw that chip in a MacBook Air. It fits a different market, so it's a different size with a different power consumption. And the next Mac I get, I do plan on keeping for a very, very long time, probably longer than the iMac Pro. So making sure that it has an insane amount of overhead. And I'm also going to be messing around with some red footage in the near future, which I'm excited about.
Oh, hold up. Stop the show. Tell me about this. The show has never stopped. Tell me about this.
I think the Instagram post... I'm on Instagram, by the way. I never plug it, but...
Well, I'm never on Instagram, so let me figure this out.
Yeah,
it probably threw people off a little bit because I did not buy a red camera. I'll just clear the air there.
What happened?
But my very close friend did, and...
You got a Komodo?
He plans on... He tried very, very hard to get that Komodo. It was very difficult because they're very back ordered right now, and people are waiting a long time to get them. So he had to buy it from like a third-party source that bundled in all this other stuff. But we're really excited because we have a bunch of shared hardware. So he just got out of the Air Force. He just served 4 years, and he wants to get more into video stuff. What's that like? He had some friends out where you are, by the way. I was telling him.
Oh, nice.
He had some buddies out there.
Yeah.
And he, like, his camera's he got CFast cards that are way better than mine. And he's using batteries that my Blackmagic use. So I'm kind of like, hey, we can share all of our stuff now. So I don't know how regularly I'll get to use it, but he doesn't have... he's just going to take some time to pursue his interests and hobbies, and he's going indie in his own way right now. So
what's he doing with the camera?
He wants to do, he's thinking about maybe doing some freelance work, but he's not too committed to that. He wants to kind of just get into doing more either short films or skits with the other.
Well,
he said
Drew,
to be interested in doing
sounds
it
like
with the Talos channel.
Yeah, it sounds like Talos of TV might be coming back a little bit, isn't it?
Might be coming back.
Maybe. I mean, the thing is, he's got a bunch of equipment. He bought like a boom mic. He got this insane lens. It's huge. We're gonna do an unboxing and everything for it. He hasn't taken it out of the box yet, but it's like a 1.5 foot long lens, and it's like a giant. What do you call it?
Aperture.
ND filter on the front.
Wow.
It's the biggest lens I've ever seen. That's for sure.
How many millimeters?
Yeah.
And it has not even attached to the camera itself. And I said that, well, he's bought a lot of stuff in the past and has just kind of like experimented with it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like made a bunch of stuff with it, but just like I want to do time lapses and I want to film sunsets and he has like 3 different sliders and stuff. And I was like, well, if you want some like test stuff, we could do B-roll of like product reviews because there's always plenty of products coming out that I can review. And if you're just wanting to play around with the settings and the thing is though, his iMac is from like 2015 and I think it's around the same age as Randy's iMac.
Don't do it.
And he hasn't taken the Komodo out of the box yet, so he's like planning on using some heavy-duty proxies within DaVinci Resolve so that he can handle the editing of the red files. But he was saying we might need to use the iMac Pro a little bit for that kind of editing. So I'm excited to play around with it because ever since I was a kid, I knew about Red and how insane their cameras were, but they were always, $50,000 or more. So I was like, one day, maybe when I'm a millionaire, we could have Red cameras. But Komodo finally is getting the price down, and I wouldn't have bought it, but my friend has basically he's probably just as much of a budget guy when it comes to everyday living expenses. Like he still uses an iPhone 7.
Nice.
That was mine, by the way, the one I unboxed for the channel. He bought it off me, and he's broken it several times and replaced the glass himself. And he has the same. His first car is still the car he drives today. He does not. He's not like me in buying new iPads and iPhones. He likes equipment. He'll get the latest and greatest equipment. But he still uses the 2010 MacBook Pro. He's like, no, I'll just throw an SSD in there. That's good enough. So everything else, he's super budget, like top ramen, everything for years. And he's been, getting paid pretty good by the military for the past few years. So he's like, I want to get some nice stuff. And I was like, what do you want to do with it? And he was like, we'll just play around with it. And I was like, okay, sounds fun. So we'll unbox it later today.
Nice.
But I'm interested to see, like, I want to have a ton of overhead for if we end up doing more heavy-duty 6K footage or super high bitrate footage or higher dynamic range stuff. That will probably be okay on the iMac Pro, but the more I think about my next Mac, the more I want it to be like a balls to the wall, like no compromise. If I'm not getting my dream iMac design, then I'll get groundbreaking performance that is far overkill for what I need. Because sometimes when I export a video in 1080p instead of 4K, and it's just done so fast. I'm like, whoa, that's so nice. I love not having to wait around.
Imagine if that was in 4K.
Yeah, imagine if I didn't have to compromise on the export resolution, but it still exported in like a couple minutes instead of 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And iMac Pro, he actually fixed it. I don't know if I talked about this, but the SD card slot on my iMac Pro was not working.
Really?
Which I have one of these, so I didn't really mind. But I was trying to plug SD cards in it, and they weren't like sitting flush. And I was like, uh-oh, maybe something got stuck in there, and I didn't really take the time to like unplug the iMac, set it down, and try to clean out the SD card slot or anything. So I just was like, I have one of these laying around, and it's also, I don't have to get up and reach around to the SD card slot. I can just plug this in and have it hanging out at the bottom of the iMac, and it's easier to reach that way. So I was like, whatever. And he came over, and I was showing him my stuff, and because I hadn't seen him since mid-2019, so we were apart for a long time. And I was like, the SD card slot stopped working. He was like, let me see that. And he got an SD card slot, and he just went, and he like shoved it in really hard, and I was like, what'd you do? And then in Finder, it was like, whoop, it shows up, and he was like, some of the pins just get misaligned, and you just gotta like
manhandle it.
Wow.
It's so old now. I was like, either it's not working, or he's gonna break it more, and it still won't work. So I don't really care. You know, my wife doesn't want to sell it anyway. So I was like, do what you got to do. Try to fix it. And he's a HVAC technician. He knows. He works on stuff all the time, and computers. Whenever I need something to be like applied or taken apart, I always go to him because my hands are very shaky and I'm not good at taking stuff apart. Whereas, like, I just gave him my old Series 2 and Series 1 Apple Watch because the glass on them is broken, and he was like, yeah, I'll try it. Let me see if I can fix it.
Nice.
So he was just like, I'm going to fix the SD card slot, which hasn't been working for a while. Now it's working. I'm like, okay, cool. Looks cleaner.
Now you don't need a new MacBook. So there's no reason to be excited about DubDub because your iMac now has a working SD card.
I loved that 16-inch MacBook Pro in 2019 when I reviewed it. That was wonderful. If I were to get a laptop, it would definitely be that one. And if I can get an M1X, even if I'm not keeping it, that means I get a faster workflow for a couple weeks. Yeah. I get to experience the power. And then it just becomes unlimited power, and I want to see how quick it can export and everything. And I haven't been able to review any computer that was faster than my iMac Pro since I got it. So as soon as I can, then it's just a matter of, do I wait for even more, or do I settle for M1X now? And I don't know. It depends on the longevity. What do you guys think I should do? If there is an M1X Mac Mini, should I just switch to that, or should I wait for a Mac Pro?
Get the Mac Mini.
Okay. Ooh, I will disagree with that.
Okay. Well, I'll make my case.
You have to explain why.
Yeah. All right. I will make my case.
Okay.
Judges in session.
I'm split on this too.
The first one, my overhanging idea for it is cost.
True.
There's a point. Even with the Mac, with waiting for with the Mac Mini, anything else out there, there is a point of diminishing return when you try to do spec per dollar, and the core. I know you're gonna say price per dollar. Here we go. Here we go. But spec per dollar.
The audio listeners didn't know.
Yeah. With the core is still the same. So your logic board, whether it's going to be in a MacBook or a Mac Mini, what you care about outside of the core is then your I/O, and you will have the I/O with the Mac Mini, assuming you get the right ports and stuff like that. But if you got exactly what you had going with the Mac Mini that's out now, but with an M1X, I still say that's a step up. But
yeah,
your perfect idea for it is. Oh, hang on.
Can you hear us?
Something happened.
Randy
My AirPods died.
All right, so while he's dealing with his audio issues,
I'm back.
Battery.
Oh, he's
back.
He's back.
I'm back. That was weird. Okay, so it went boop 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 boop, and then just dropped right there. Didn't even give me a second. These things are dying. Yeah, my AirPods Pro are literally dying. The battery is no longer good. Anyway, that's not only I think is the best value. I think it's actually. It feels like almost like a steal. I don't think there's anything wrong with the Mac Mini now, really. Except I did order the Mac Mini. I ended up canceling it because of that weird thing that happened with it. And then I'm just like, cool, I'm on the go anyways, so it worked better for me. But if you're gonna have a stationary location for it, the Mac Mini saves you so much money. And realistically, it's already M1X would outperform your iMac Pro anyway. So you're already gonna get a step up in performance all across the board, all the same.
Yeah.
It's more compact. You can move it around easier. You don't have to lug it, and just honestly, just the cost alone sells itself. But unless there is something, unless they screwed up the Mac Mini M1X with, well, now we're taking away this part. If you take something away, then now we have an issue. But if you kept the exact same design, which is already rumored that's not what's going to happen, but say you did. Say they're wrong. The rumors are wrong. It's the exact same design. And you just get M1X. You already won. You already beat everything that you have to compare it to right now.
Right.
And you can work now as opposed to wait and keep waiting, because we're always going to wait for something. What if, like I said at the beginning of the show, and I might be wrong, what if I'm wrong that the Mac Pro doesn't come out this year with an M1X? What if they are?
Oh, I don't think it will, for the record.
Okay.
I'm thinking next year.
So even more reason why the Mac Mini would make more sense or an M1X Mac Mini makes more sense beforehand, because that'd come out first. You get to that, you get to work quicker, you get longer usage out of it, especially if you're going to spec it out and, like you say, balls to the wall and give it all the...
I'd probably max it out with
if you max it out, then
top-tier storage.
You have even longer longevity. You have a longer time with it, with the device than waiting. Don't do what I did and wait for the, hold out with the iMac Pro still hanging in there. Eventually... it ages, it dates, and that's every time you wait for the Mac Pro or anything next year, that's one more day longer you're with your iMac Pro that is progressively getting slower, and it's aging, it's in use, and you're putting it. It's not that you're not taking care of it. It's just it's an old device now, and if there's something better on the market now,
Ross
say the
seems to be
M1X
shoving
Mac
things
Mini.
into it pretty hard, but
but outside of that,
it has more. It's more functional than it was 2 days ago.
Oh no.
Oh no! Hey,
he's starting to. But it was a funny joke. I should have laughed. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway,
so
that's my case.
You're wrong, Randy. Drew, you should get the 16-inch MacBook Pro.
Oh no.
So the 16-inch MacBook Pro is going to be amazing. It's going to have the same performance as this M1 Mac Mini. It's going to be portable. And if I recall what you said just a moment ago on the show, and you've said it for many, many years, since 2019, the 2019 16-inch MacBook Pro was your favorite MacBook to use. It's beautiful big screen, beautifully portable, but yet still gets all the work done with a nice, great, expansive screen. And that plus the M1 chip, plus likely 20-plus hour battery life, is going to make this an editing beast that you can take to visit Ross, and wherever he's doing his Red Komodo stuff, you can take that and he can use that to edit, and it's not just going to be plugged into a big wall. And you can take it to the living room to work in there if you want to watch a movie and edit something or whatever. It's flexible. Now, we'll give Randy the price. You can't beat the price of these Mac Minis, which is why I've always been such a huge fan of the M1 Mac Mini. And I am just playing devil's advocate at the moment because my heart, the M1 Mac Mini is still a beautiful computer. M1X Mac Mini is going to be even more beautiful. But it's that portability.
So that means Nick agrees with me.
No, sure. But for me personally right now, it's the portability that I need. I've been really impressed. I've been using M1 Mac Minis since January, I guess. So almost, I guess, 6 months now. And I am more than pleased with the performance and price per dollar. Best computer out there. But it's the portability that I need in my lifestyle. And I think you would appreciate that lifestyle too, Drew. Because
but that's
you're
not his lifestyle. Ross is right there, man. They all live right there. He'll come over and he'll go. He's not gonna be out filming and wait, we gotta edit it right here on site. Film, come back to headquarters. Yeah, it's like,
is it waterproof?
Get right there and then edit.
I wouldn't mind that. That's a trend I want to support. Just random waterproofing devices that don't really think we need waterproofing.
Mac
just
Mini now
waterproof.
Just make it waterproof. Mac Mini's now
waterproof.
waterproof.
Make the iPad water resistant. Who cares? Just make it okay.
Yeah,
Do you use it in the pool? No, but
the
Pro,
MacBook
waterproof
has no business. That's not your lifestyle, Drew. That's not what you need it for. You're not going to be out editing on site. And I know you like to keep work, life, because you work from home. You're not going to want to take your work all the time, if hardly ever, into the living room or out and about. And if you're going to spend time with Luis or with your family or with your friends, you're the type. Every time I'm with you, you know how to section off that stuff where it's like, okay, I'm going to be with friends or family, or it's work time. And so that doesn't fit your lifestyle. And if you're going to be out doing short films and working with these cool new equipment, you're not going to have your MacBook on site and edit right then and there. Even when I was out and about, I wouldn't do it right there because it's either I need a shady spot. That's not the part of the production your mind is in. You're not going to go into post while you're in production. That's not how that would work. It's not the same as taking a photo and like, how can I see this real quick? Even then, your viewfinder will be good enough to be like, okay, yep, we got it in frame, came out good. Then you take it back.
He did get a 7-inch preview display for the Red.
There you go.
Like 2,000 nits.
There you
go. And it's a wireless transmitter one. We'll unbox all this stuff.
Boy.
So
it's going to be a fun video.
Mac Mini.
The mobility thing is not so much my issue with the MacBook Pro. Like, I think it's cool, and I understand, because the thing is, you're right, I don't go out much, but I can still dock it. I could still turn it into a big screen desk setup if I need to. The main thing is I don't want two laptops, and my iPad Pro is already my go-to laptop, like for things that I want to.
And after Monday with the software, the iPad becomes more of a laptop.
I hope so, but even if iPadOS doesn't change at all, which is kind of what I'm half expecting, when I reviewed the M1 MacBook Air, it felt redundant very quickly, because I think that was the first time I was reviewing a MacBook, but I also had the Magic Keyboard case. Before, I didn't have that. So now I feel like I have my trackpad, I have my keyboard, and this is like, other than the software, this is dream laptop territory. I've got mini LED, I've got 120 hertz, I got Face ID, I've got Center Stage, which is incredible, probably my favorite feature, and all this great stuff. If I had to be packing stuff around, or just around the house being like, oh, let me get my fun laptop and also let me get my work laptop, and I have to keep both laptops around because this one has the software that I need and this one is the more fun hardware, I don't care so much for having that redundancy. So I'm okay having a laptop that I can take with me and do some basic stuff on, like the iPad. But if it's going to be a desk setup, then I want to go all in on value. And the M1X Mac Mini would definitely, I think, win over in value. But if there's a situation I could see myself getting the MacBook Pro, but it's like plan D, I guess. If M1X Mac Mini never happens, Dream iMac never happens, and Mac Pro is $6,000 starting, and it's like $6,000 with 256 gigs of storage, and in order to get a decent amount, you need to spend $10,000. Then I'd be like, okay, Mac Pro's too expensive, the M1 Mac Mini is too slow, and the iMac is ugly. If all those things happen, then yes, I would go 16-inch MacBook Pro. Those three things would make me want to get the MacBook Pro, just because, I don't like, at least the 16-inch MacBook Pro would be a lot bigger than my iPad, so it would feel a little different. And my wife always liked the bigger laptops. When I brought her the M1 MacBook Air, I was like, look at this new one. She was like, why is it so small?
Don't you judge it.
She always loved that 15-inch laptop, and whenever I showed
not
her the 13-inch
size,
MacBook,
it's how it's used.
Wow.
I won't say it. Wow. Never mind. So yeah, that's a plan D. is the 16-inch MacBook Pro. Okay. Plan A would still be Dream iMac. If they do that, throw out the Mac Mini, throw out the Mac Pro. I still want an all-in-one. I still love the Dream iMac idea, but I'm just expecting that to not happen, which I think is probably a safe expectation to go into. It'd be interesting if it happened like after the whole 24-inch iMac thing. Here's something completely different. Everybody's argument about the chin and white bezels suddenly. Oh, well, never mind. Okay, yeah. I guess there's that too. Yeah. Now there's everything else.
Well, I foresee a Mac Mini in your future.
Ooh.
I would definitely pick one up.
No, I mean to keep.
To review.
To keep.
But, yeah, I should probably... What I should have done in hindsight was get the iPad Pro I would buy if it did run macOS and Final Cut and all that stuff. Oof. That way, if the event happens and I like it, I keep it. And if the event happens and don't, I return it. Right now, I feel like I should probably return this iPad Pro anyway, no matter what happens. Because if iPadOS is amazing, then I'm going to want more storage. And if it's not amazing, then I'll send it back. So I was like, whatever.
Do you think
too much?
Do you think the Mac not the Mac software. If the iPad software is not everything that we'd want it to be, but it's definitely way better than low expectations of widgets. If you're in the middle, I guess what I'm trying to ask you.
That's the go-to for low expectations.
I guess what I'm trying to some widgets. You know what? Okay, so like obviously because it's going to be somewhere in the middle. What I'm trying to gauge from you is obviously top of the top, everything that you would want is a definite. You're not keeping that exact iPad, but you are going to get an upgrade your iPad. But say that's not. You don't get everything. You'll get it. Yeah, you will. But somewhere in between, that it's good enough. Where's your good enough threshold that says, yeah, you know what, I can work with this? Is it strictly software like pro applications, or is it more of they come out of left field with iPadOS like, oh, this UI does blank now, and that's good enough? Like, where's your good enough gauge?
I'd be. It's a good question. What is good enough? I'd be very close if they just supported ProRes.
Okay.
Because I don't really need pro applications. Like I said, LumaFusion was great, and I edited the whole tech video on it, and I was like, this is fine. It worked fine. Yeah. But I can't use my Blackmagic footage on it, so I'm like, And the other thing would be external webcam support, but I feel like I'm the only person asking for that. No one else cares. I was like, they're not going to do that as much as I wanted. But that would be a big help because at least I could, even if they don't support ProRes, I could plug in my Blackmagic to the iPad and record directly to it, just like I am with OBS right now. And if I could record from that external webcam and just straight add it to LumaFusion like that, that would make it a lot more useful. If basically they just did enough to it, which those two things I think one or the other, not even both. One or the other of those things would let me do tech or EV videos off the iPad itself. As long as that's possible, I think it's a lot easier to justify spending more money on it, because I could say if I'm on a trip or if I'm far away, I don't need a MacBook now. iPad can do that. Okay, M1's not super fast, but also it's the iPad Pro, which is way better than the MacBooks because Face ID, center stage, 120 hertz. So if I can get yes, I can do my tech videos. I can do my EV videos off the iPad, because right now it doesn't really have that. And there's no cheating. You know, you can't be like, import it to the Mac and then use the Mac to airdrop it to... No.
Standalone.
Like, completely.
Standalone.
Closed box. Doesn't have any help. There's no storage trick. If you download this third-party app and upload the footage there and then download it through LumaFusion, I found that app. That doesn't count. Just plug in the CFast card and it imports... Or I can plug in my camera and record directly to that, which also would be kind of cool because you wouldn't even need a CFast card in your camera. Ooh. You could just plug it into your iPad and then put your iPad on like the tripod or like mount it to the camera.
That's your monitor now? Oh.
Can you imagine how cool that would be?
That'd be so cool.
It's a Thunderbolt port too, right?
True.
That supports high bandwidth writing.
Yes.
So you could do like a 4K at 60 video that as soon as you stop recording your video,
it's right there.
It's already in the timeline.
Oh, yeah.
The best import is no import. Like
the best import is no port. Import, yes.
That's not what you can import, but what can import you.
If you like your import, you should get rid of your import.
You get to.
There you go.
You get to keep
Ask
your.
not what ports can do for you, but
ask what you can do.
What you can do with your ports.
But what you? I did not.
Yeah. So. Something like that would make it way more justifiable, but I'm honestly kind of expecting iPadOS to be a big disappointment.
So, anything, you know what? The bar's so low for you. If they say, "Hey, guess what? Now you can move your apps anywhere on the homepage," or something, because you're expecting it so low. They do something that
wouldn't be good enough, but it would be fun.
I know, but no, I'm just saying that like the bar is so low for you that something that is like lukewarm at best, you're gonna be like, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. That's it.
Hey, you know what I'll give them mad applause for? I'll stand out of my seat is a calculator.
Oh, wow.
That's not happening.
If there was just a calculator app, I'd be like, hey, you
if
did
you
it,
can
Apple.
actually have multiple windows running at once, or the apps, sorry, not windows.
That would be cool.
But like you have the calculator widget that's there while you actually have these widgets are actually interactive because you can resize them and you can work inside the widgets, and that's your multi-windows equivalent. I'll be honest with you, I think that'd be enough for me to be like, all right, I'm gonna get the new iPad. Something weird.
Don't you think importing files would be a lot easier with resizable
That would
windows?
be amazing. Because then you could really work.
You could drag stuff,
productivity.
The Files app is so clunky.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't
and
take up the whole
thing.
thing.
Every time you leave it, it gets jettisoned out of RAM. I know that's not a problem with the new ones, but that, like, for me, that was the biggest problem. Like, anytime I was downloading, importing, syncing, whatever, I couldn't leave the Files app because anytime I left it, it basically instantly got jettisoned out of RAM, which was then it was like, all right, well, now I got to start this all over
And
again.
also the dragging of the files, like they don't give you, Finder gives you like this ETA of like how much it's moved. And on the iPad, it doesn't really give you much. It's just kind of like, oh, I hope it's moving. And then it eventually shows up, and you got to look at the little circle. Yeah. It's like barely giving you any detail of like 5 minutes remaining, 3 minutes remaining. It's like they should just put macOS on there or something.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like, since the M1 chip is, technically
I will
the
cry
same.
if that happens.
Tears of joy or sadness?
Yes.
Either way, I can't.
Joy.
I would watch it.
Tears of joy. I'll be throwing things. I'm gonna throw my chair. I'll be screaming at the top of my lungs. My wife's
gonna put
get
a
angry.
baby in my wife. I'll be so excited.
I was going to like 10, and then Randy went to like
30.
13 right away. Yeah, I would.
Our baby's gonna be named
tag
Mac.
3 people on Twitter in precision and be like, "Screw you! Look what they did.
Screw you! Screw you! Screw you! You're cool."
I would be
you.
so happy. Oh, that would be such a marvelous day. This will forever be my favorite WWDC if they announced macOS for M1 iPads or something, or just docked iPads. I saw that.
Only way
suggestion
that
on
would be
Mac
really
Rumors, too.
cool.
That'd be fine. You just external monitor. You need an external monitor for it to be macOS because that monitor's not going to be touch anyway.
True.
So why does it need
fine.
to be iPad?
Yeah,
true.
I would be okay with that. I'd actually be really okay with that because it's that what did Samsung call it? Dex or something? That's cool.
Yeah.
I liked that concept. I always liked
Dex is interesting. They just don't have a desktop OS that's useful.
That's right.
That's the problem with it.
But the concept was so cool. The way you just put it in, because you know why? I use my Nintendo Switch as like my main console, and I undock and redock, and it's the same thing, and it's so convenient. And so I've been playing a lot of Breath of the Wild on it, and I'm like, ooh, so the idea that everything just moves over to a bigger projection, and that's it, and now it upscales to 1080 or 1440 or what have you. The idea of Dex in that same way, if Apple can have something with it docks and it only works when it has the MagSafe clip that happens. And so it has to be a newer phone. It pops right there. Imagine same thing, but now you have the 3 prongs that are actually being used for more than Magic Keyboard, and there's data information communicating that says now it's docked. It can utilize the bigger screen real estate and everything, and it just shoots it out. That'd be so cool. I would. That one revitalizes mobile OSs in a way that now it's a different 2-in-1 in a cooler way that keep me excited. If they pursued DeX on Samsung's side, I would have been more interested in seeing how that would have come to fruition going down. But it was just like you said, they don't have a proper desktop to work for it. But Apple does with the perfect device with the iPad. Put that sucker on there. Right. Oh man, I'm getting excited.
And you could use like the Face ID sensors on the iPad as your. Part of me feel like this is almost possible because they're like bragging about RAM now.
Yeah.
And they gave it the Thunderbolt port, and they're showing it with the Pro Display. Seeing all that gives me hope. It makes me go like, maybe there is a chance. I know
Nick gets his touch bar back because the iPad becomes the touch bar.
Yes.
I would love this. I would love.
If we don't anything less of this,
think iPad.
I'm not happy now.
The argument that the iPad would cannibalize the Mac is so stupid.
Yeah.
It makes so little sense to me. I'm like, that's like saying the iPhone would cannibalize the iPod, so they shouldn't do it. You know, it's like especially if they limit the iPad to just the M1, and people are like, but people buy Macs and iPads, and I'm like, yeah, they're still gonna.
They're still
the people who buy Macs and iPads are going to buy the M1X Max and the iPad Pro. If the iPad Pro is just going up against M1 only Macs, it's way more expensive than those. And I'm like, they're still going to buy both. Don't worry about that.
M1X
Don't feel
iPad,
like
or an M1
I can get M1 on the iPad Pro for $2,000, or I can get M1X on the MacBook Pro for $1,800. Yeah, iPad's not cannibalizing anything. It's people will still buy both.
The only
giving macOS wouldn't change that.
I would say the only way if they announced all this stuff, the only way that it would be the best keynote, like you can't top it except for one way. Craig has to be the one to introduce it in all his Craig fashion, because at the end of the day,
he's chief of software.
That's it. He has to, and we're all whether I say it out loud or you say that, we're all secretly a little Craig sexual. Yeah. That's us coming full circle, gentlemen.
No, it's not secret.
Oh, it's not secret.
Do you guys have heart stops?
No. I do. Yes.
And this is just a.
How soon?
I mean, I could talk for about 10 more minutes.
Okay. The last question I was going to ask you was about the live streaming thing.
Okay.
Because this is more of a content creator discussion, but I think it's somewhat related to tech.
Okay.
It's like
live streaming. Let's go.
You guys are creators yourselves. Randy
so what do you mean,
and Nick both do live streams.
Oh, thanks.
I'm weighing the pros and cons of streaming directly to YouTube over Twitch.
I watched that stream you did.
And
not impressed. Sorry.
Which one?
The center stage stream.
Oh no, not for that. Just in general.
Yeah. No, that's
not just for center stage.
No.
Center stage has nothing.
Let's talk about this. I have opinions
for everyday streams.
I have opinions about this. So are you?
I knew Randy would.
Yeah. Are you asking for?
So I can make my own.
Okay. Are you asking as like completely one or the other, or what is the form of your question? Because it'll dictate how I respond.
So I guess a little bit of context. I have preferred streaming on Twitch because I think Twitch is a better live streaming platform. Yeah. I think it's more well built for live streaming. For my end, as a creator, it is easier to stream to than YouTube. It's less complicated. I prefer the transparency of the revenue cut. They tell you how much they get when you buy your bits, and their app supports picture-in-picture and everything. I like Twitch. I've been using it for a couple of years now. But I ran several polls on both Twitter and YouTube, and it's safe to say the vast majority of my audience would prefer live streams directly on the actual main tech channel.
Yeah.
And I even included the option to do it on a separate one, the tech streams channel.
Yeah.
So I was like, because I've seen some YouTubers do that, where they're like, here's our video channel, here's our live streaming channel. And I gave people the option, and still most chose, no, just do it on the regular channel. Yep. And the reason I've been against that for a long time is I've heard that's not great for the algorithm.
Yeah.
Screw the algorithm.
YouTube is not as upfront about the revenue cut.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, whenever you super chat a creator on YouTube, YouTube gets a 33% cut of that super chat. The dilemma here is that majority of my audience wants me to stream on YouTube. And from my experience, people donate more on YouTube.
They do.
For whatever reason, the system in place on YouTube, the fact that I think it's because it displays your own currency in whatever country you're in, people feel more inclined to donate when they can see the actual currency on their end. And maybe it's the UI
the
of the Super Chat being more
transparency
colorful.
is not for you, unfortunately, as the creator.
Yeah.
But there is this inherent trust that people have with YouTube as a viewer.
It's true. And people don't know what bits are.
And they don't know what bits are. People, as viewers, myself included, I'm more comfortable. They make it so easy to super chat, especially if you already have your Google account set up. Everything it's right there. It's so like Google has one hell of a grip on everything with their own ecosystem. I know we're fans of Apple and stuff like that, but Google is no joke with how they integrate their services all over.
Some of you guys are watching this on Google services right now.
So there's this inherent trust that you give Google/YouTube, and they make it so easy as well that I was watching your polls. I was tracking them. I was like, oh, this is interesting. Okay.
I was very curious too.
And I'll be honest with you, I voted on them, and I voted with evidently I voted with the masses. And I want to. This is why I have an opinion about it, because I want to tell you why I chose your main channel, YouTube, because that. As much as your segregation of channels works for you for subjects, I do genuinely believe that we're kind of coming full circle again with people don't want channels to be singular subjects anymore, that the channel is the channel and there's segments, because this algorithm has rearranged itself again. And I've noticed for YouTube channels that I'm not subscribed to, that I have no interest to, they will push videos to me that follow a certain segment that I still watch. And I feel simplicity outweighs anything else when it comes to having people make a decision. If you give somebody all these choices, you actually overwhelm them. You have that adverse effect that happens where they kind of get overwhelmed, where it's like, if you take away the options, listen, you go to In-N-Out, number 1, number 2, or number 3. You know what I mean? And,
I love that.
And it's clean. Yeah. It's right there. Same context with you. Tailosive Tech is the known brand. You are the Apple sheep. People lose their minds over Apple things. You are known for other things, and they follow you for the vlogs, or they follow you now with EV and stuff like that. But if we're talking algorithm, Tailosive will always be synonymous with Apple sheep and anything Apple related. And that's what you've built. That's the path you carved years ago. So making it easier for your audience that cares about that subject of tech as a whole would rather just have a single stream a platform that goes straight to there. They know it. They get the notification. The people, like, you're not preaching to the choir. The people who have the bells turned on for Twitch and Twitter and like, they're gonna follow you wherever. You have those people that have followed you.
Right.
But all these other people that like, oh, whatever happened to this guy? That they watch you occasionally, but when it's convenient for them to see you on YouTube streaming, oh, he's on right now. I used to watch this guy for dub stuff. I want to go watch that. You got more people that aren't fanatics or big fan bases like that are casual watchers that will watch you for the content. They will watch you for the coverage, for, hey, this guy talks about this stuff. You have this identity that's attached with it that people will come and watch you for. I feel this algorithm, it's because just like the pay, it's not transparent. It ever changes. We can't work around the algorithm. We can only work around the fan base. And if that's what the fans are saying, that to go there, those are where most of your eyes are. So you already know you're going to get your Twitter and your YouTube people, and whenever else you ran the poll, you already know those people are going to go. But now imagine that weird algorithm going to work that push your video out to people who watch your video but aren't subscribed, and they now see you live, and then that happens. It's a gateway. It's kind of a gateway drug. I'm confident that's what happened with me when I found your stuff years ago. Like, it's just that's how this thing gets pushed out. It's nice to have fail-safes in place that you have Twitch. And I agree. I think Twitch is a better streaming service. People can interact with you more intimately on Twitch. Not because of the views. I mean, how Twitch is set up where people can actually engage, run polls in live time. There's so much more fluidity with you as the creator to stream. It's beautiful, but that's not what
and there's just one key.
It's just one key.
You can keep one key and you don't have to come up with a different thumbnail every time and go into monetization settings. YouTube Live, the whole setup is so complicated, which is why I'm torn on this, because audience is like, I'll do this, and I'm like, you guys don't know how annoying it is to have to set that stream up on YouTube's end every time.
They don't care.
And even though I always say, always monetize, keep it on, keep it on. Whenever I start the stream, monetization's off.
I know.
YouTube's like,
they can't super chat. You have to go out of your way to turn on super chats, and you have to go out of your way to. It's so stupid because it's like, come on, like,
it's
obviously,
very broken.
Why would I not want to have people donate or? I get it, and those are the struggles I understand and I sympathize. But if
YouTube taxes are easier though, I'll give them that. Twitch, because of Twitch Prime, I think has to separate non-employee compensation from royalties.
Yeah.
Whereas even with super chats and stuff, all the money I make from my YouTube channels go into one 1099, one number.
It's easier for you. Nice. There's a little bit more legwork you have to do on the back end with the setup of the studio, and those are things that most people won't understand or even care about. And that's just
they'll never know.
That's the part of doing business, man. Like that's just part of doing business. But if it simplifies your business end, if it simplifies your interaction with the fans, you pull amazing numbers, Drew. Like you pull amazing numbers with these streams, especially when it's around dub time, iPhone time, like these things. You are the talk of the town. I have people texting me who I don't know knew you, but they know that I'm affiliated with you. Is he streaming? And because they like to watch the stuff, and I'll be like, he's on Twitch, but he's not streaming the show because he might get striked and blah blah blah. But he's doing a reaction, and some things are out of your control in that sense. But but when people remember, when it was Wild Wild West, so to say, with Talos of Tech reacting to Dub 2019 or 2018 or something, like people, or 2017, people were having fun. Like you were pulling in stupid numbers, and that says something. That the demand is there, and I would say it's simpler for you. The thumbnail part sucks. The setting up the studio sucks. But if that's the price of pay, that you get 10 times the amount now and not just a fraction, and people are having fun in their own way, you can find a way to make the chat engaged in different ways.
It's really not about the money, though.
No, I know.
For sure.
But having people come to this town hall, so to say, this community park that everyone can hang out in. It's a bigger park that people want to go to. They don't have to drive out of their way to a different park that you're going to go to.
Right.
Go to that park. You know what I mean? Like that's it's not that much more different for you. It's a couple clicks and buttons, annoying, but you're not doing it every day. You're not a daily streamer. You could be, but to do that on YouTube for especially these types of events, I'd say it's in that sense it's kind of worth it just to have the camaraderie and the engagement with your fans and everybody coming together again.
So. I'm not a big live streaming guy. I mean, I know I do the Answer Sweeney live show every Thursday, but I don't really have much of an opinion about Twitch.
I'm not a live stream guy.
But I do it every Thursday.
3 live streams in the past week.
Okay, true. Yeah, but I don't feel like I've never used Twitch on the streaming side, and I rarely watch it. So I feel like I'm not a really good voice to give you any insight here. I like YouTube. It just seems simple and easy, but I've never used Twitch, so. All that say, I don't have anything to say.
Well, I think that speaks for itself. A lot of people don't want to move to another platform. It's the same reason when people want, like, we need alternatives to YouTube. Situations like conservatives getting off of platforms and stuff like that. There's a reason why these other things don't blow up. People don't want to move, and that's also kind of the cost of doing business. That's a whole nother discussion about like ethics and stuff. But at that point, it's like the money's where the people are. And people don't want to go out of their way and do all those things. I don't look at Twitch as another Amazon subsidiary where my Prime account and all this and the other is involved with. I look at Twitch as like I go there for occasional. Even if I have time, I go there to watch certain musicians write music live. I watch Drew occasionally, and that's about it. I don't use Twitch the same way I use YouTube. YouTube is a platform for me to learn, educate, get caught up on live. Twitch is I want to go hang out with people because it's only live based,
Right.
But YouTube is also a hangout place and go learn some stuff. So it's a bigger campus, and that's why I like YouTube. And there's that trust factor. I don't subscribe. I don't have Amazon Prime, but I have YouTube Premium. So that within itself,
Me too.
I don't want to do more with it. If it's one less thing I have to worry about, then that's why I'm off and on with Discord for the same reason. Unfortunately, it's just like less is more sometimes, and I don't want to have too many redundancies when it comes to hanging out with people. I want to be where most people are because that's where you get the most engagement.
Right.
Yeah.
And the algorithm's not doing me any favors these days. Like, I'm not worried about it hitting growth because there's not much growth going on. So I'm kind of looking at it like,
it'll change in 3 months.
Why do I care what the algorithm thinks?
Yeah.
Like, they're not doing me a bunch of favors right now. So
have fun with it.
Can
then.
It get substantially worse than it is?
I don't believe what happened a couple of years ago with. There's data that shows that streaming is bad and it hurts your channel because even if that
seems like YouTube wouldn't want that, right?
Right. But so even if that was an issue years ago, YouTube pays a lot of people to stream exclusively on YouTube. There's a market. They have it. YouTube has not abandoned streaming by any means. It's just they're not as clean as Twitch is. But and that's the problem that they have. They know they have the people, but if they would just take the Twitch formula completely and put it on YouTube, Twitch I feel like would be in so much trouble in the sense. But when I say formula, I also mean transparency with payout, how people get paid, and not just the UI. I'm actually talking about on the creator side what you have to do on Twitch, which is simpler. If they took that formula, then I think Twitch would be in trouble in that sense. It'd be exclusive. Only people who are getting paid these exclusive deals would go there. But YouTube as a whole changes so much about these algorithms that we don't know about anyway. I wouldn't fight the algorithm.
And there are several channels I've seen that do edited content and live streams simultaneously. And I checked their Social Blade, and they were not like hit in growth. It's not like they couldn't grow. They were doing great actually. Between Meet Kevin is a guy who does live streams and edited videos too. Same channel.
I've been watching that guy for years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, he's fun.
I'll vote for him.
There you go.
Warren Rydlick is another channel I've started watching more recently. He covers all like Elon Musk stuff, and he does live streams and edited content regularly, both. PewDiePie is a great example. Biggest channel, biggest creator, and he does live streams and edited content regularly. But he's probably a bad example because the algorithm might work differently when you have 110 million subscribers. It's a little different.
Just a little bit.
So, not a great example, but still, I think from YouTube's end, because I was told back in 2018, basically, that, if you do these live streams, it impacts your average view duration, and that impacts the algorithm. But you would think, after all these years, YouTube would want people to stream there.
Yeah.
They would actively encourage that. So why would they make the algorithm take a big hit? But, YouTube also does some stupid things. Look at the quality playback.
I feel like it's true. I feel like they fix the that's if that viewer number was an issue back then, I would trust that thing has been situated because we've got a different YouTube studio since then. How you set up the platform on your end as a creator has changed since then. I don't think YouTube stays...
So YouTube treats live streams in the algorithm very differently from an edited video.
I noticed that I look at my own analytics for my little stuff, and I get more engagement with my live streams than I do on edited videos. And that doesn't hurt anything one way or the other. It's just that was how it worked. I was known as the guy who streams at this time making music, and then that it was a pop in place. And edited video has its own place to breathe, so to say. The issues of what happened in 2019, or 2018, that was 3 years ago. YouTube is not a stagnant company that would just stay in its ways like that for 3 years, I feel like a lot of that stuff would be and stuff has so much changed since then, and it will continue to change
for sure.
So follow the people, Drew. Don't follow the people is the algorithm, but don't worry about the view part, because like if the algorithm's not helping you either way, then go have fun with the fans. You know what I mean? Like go play with them.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I'm looking at it now. I just wanted to give both of you guys a chance to weigh in your opinion, because I value both of your opinions.
I wanted to tell you why
of the Tailosive network.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you why I voted the way I did. My thought process was simplicity, trust with the platform, and that's you're not a Twitch person first. You became who you are through YouTube, so you will always have that relationship with YouTube first.
But I did put a lot of time into Twitch.
Yeah,
like that wasn't easy. Like getting up to the partnered status and trying to get people to move over there every event, and teaching people about Twitch Prime. And obviously when I talked about this subject during a Twitch stream, everyone was like, no. There's a lot of people that say I don't like YouTube because there's usually more bots, there's usually more spam, and it's a lot harder to keep up. The people were saying on Twitch it feels more controlled, it feels more close, because whenever we do those hype streams, whenever we do those YouTube streams, we get bots coming in spamming the same thing, or we'll get creepy dating site accounts that as soon as you ban them, another one comes in. People are like, that's a problem you have when you have a bigger channel that goes live regularly, and Twitch never really had that.
I was never big on Twitch.
Yeah, you get a I'd say decent size. I know
I'm teasing.
Several
size doesn't matter.
I'm proud of the community there. Like, I think it's a shame, because I do ultimately still think Twitch is a better platform. So
I feel
if you look at it just from that angle, it's like, why would you switch off why would you stop streaming on a platform you believe to be better?
I wouldn't go as far as stop streaming. It's just all the stuff that is definitely in brand with Tailosive Tech should be on YouTube.
I don't know what else I would stream there for the
on Twitch. On Twitch, you're
if I wasn't doing the tech, that's all I do now.
But you do like daily conversations, so to say, in the sense that like, hey, this is, I want to talk about this thing and stuff like that, where it's like a small focus group for the day, and that doesn't hurt. But when it's like, yo, we're gonna talk about WWDC, that's gonna pull in people that are not subscribed to you, that will just search WWDC coverage and stuff like that, and you're gonna be at the top of the search alongside I don't know, CNET and all those other people. Like, you're gonna be up there, and that is, in my opinion, a smarter business move, and it's something that maybe selfishly shouldn't be so intimate like on Twitch, because it's such a big event. It's not, what are Drew's thoughts on this? This is like, yo, today is the day, like that. It's a whole different, the atmosphere is different on these days. It's a whole different, it's a different beast. So for things like that, I 100% believe it should be on YouTube and exist on YouTube, because even playback of people who are like, oh, what did I miss leading up to? If you're going to do quick reaction afterwards, that is from the live stream, people might want to see that in live time. Who knows? But you give them the option on YouTube to do whatever it is that they want to do if they want to play catch up. Whereas then Twitch is, you are like, so these rumors are talking about these new headphones that are blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, well, that's most of my live streaming. That's what I'm mainly debating, switching over to YouTube, like doing that type of content 2 to 3 times a week live. And I could see that annoying subscribers because it's going to fill up their sub feed, which is why I was okay with the idea of doing a live on YouTube channel that's not the main one. But I was surprised how little people opt for that. I was expecting that to be a lot higher.
That's because it's put it in one less thing. Because maybe you're wrong in the sense that maybe people won't get annoyed like you think they will. You might get annoyed if you saw that from somebody. I might get annoyed if I saw that. But you obviously ran the poll, and your fans say otherwise. So will some people get annoyed? Sure. Will they get over it? Sure. It is what it is. Like, the overwhelming people that said that is telling you that they wouldn't get annoyed, that they would rather have a single point of, I have notifications turned off for Tailosive Tech anyway, so boom, is now live. Sweet, boom. There's a simplicity that just makes people gravitate quicker, and people who aren't subscribed will see, hey, so and so's live. I've been watching some of his videos. They might come watch you, and maybe they won't, but the fans spoke. You know what I mean? They spoke. They
did speak.
Yeah.
Are you team separate live stream channel or main channel, Nick?
I'd like to see you try it on your main channel and see if anything is noticeably different, and if not, then the live stream channel would probably be a good second. It also help get that my live stream channel monetized a little bit quicker. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because it isn't now. It's fine. If it's not, but I just mean like, it would be. I'm curious to see how many people would tune in if it was a regular thing. Because right now I only go live on YouTube for usually once a month for some kind of unboxing or an event or just to remind people that I do live stream. So I haven't not done anything. It's kind of a big Twitch ad. So if there was a way to see or forecast like how many people would tune in if I was live on that channel 2 to 3 times a week, or what the super chats would be like, or how it would affect
I will say
the
this,
algorithm.
Drew.
I don't know.
Trying it out definitely doesn't hurt. It's okay. It's okay for the channel to adjust in a sense that it's not just edited content. That if your channel evolves in the sense that now it has a streaming schedule, at least there's consistency there. And if people, it might have a very big uptick for the first week or so. And then when it starts to plateau, and that's your real number.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in. What would the normal look like?
Yeah, because you're obviously going to get attention the first week or two because it's so easier. And then after the honeymoon phase wears off, what does it look like there? And if it works, if it all works out still the same, and you're like, okay, I can work with this, and it's still doing better than Twitch, then there you go.
Yeah. I'm very curious. I think it might be worth exploring. I like the idea of simplifying taxes because my taxes are very frustrating right now, and that's the reason we're closing the Teespring after this year. And Twitch, I don't think will hurt revenue much because the ad revenue and super chats of YouTube are typically much better than even the Twitch Prime. Even losing Twitch Prime doesn't compare to the amount of ad revenue and donations people would have. There's the potential of bringing back the membership thing if the live streams get too busy. I see like certain streaming channels do that, but I always hate that because then you feel like you have to pay money to be in the chat. So I'm like, I get why they do it. When you reach a certain size, you kind of have to, but as a viewer, I wouldn't like that. And I'm just trying to do what I want to see as a viewer.
Yeah.
So
it's a good way to run
it. It's a tough call for me. I don't know. It might be. I've already gotten paid from Twitch through the half of this year, so the tax benefits wouldn't kick in if I switched to YouTube exclusively tomorrow. So if I do switch, it'll likely be next year.
Yeah.
And there will be likely a heads up. I'll make a big deal about it. I won't just one day be like, bye everyone. I'll do like a last Twitch stream if I do decide. I'll make it very obvious. Make it a very clear thing.
The biggest turnout in numbers since you first started Twitch will be your last one.
Aww.
Yeah, I appreciate the thoughts and the opinions that went into it, and I'm excited for Monday. We're gonna do another episode for those listening. That day I will be drenched in sweat, and at the time of recording this, less than 2 days to go. So
we're getting close.
Stay tuned, everyone. M1X. Everyone type
iPadOS
in the chat if you made it.
Be good.
MacOS.
MacBook Pro. Please work. Yes.
I just want hardware mainly because iPadOS is going to make me sad. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.